everyone, welcome to Locked On Lakers for Wednesday. Brian Kamenetsky, Andy Kamenetsky. LeBron James makes his debut for season 23, and the result's pretty good for the Lakers. That's next.
You are Locked On Lakers, your daily Los Angeles Lakers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks to everybody for making Locked On Lakers your first listen of every day, Monday through Friday, no matter how, where you get your podcasts. This one's always going to be free for you as you take in a show, Andy, on the number one podcast network, sports podcast network in the entire universe. And we certainly appreciate your support, whether you're downloading the show through Apple, through Spotify, you're watching on YouTube with over 37,000 other subscribers to the channel. However you get the show, we certainly do appreciate it. And if you are one of the 37,000 perhaps subscribing on YouTube, you are excited about what you saw on Tuesday night. The Lakers in the season debut of LeBron James pull away with a strong second half over the Utah Jazz. 140-125 is the final. It was a little, as you would expect, Andy, I think a little clunky at the beginning. But certainly as the game went on, LeBron got more comfortable, particularly as a passer, finished with 12 assists in just under 30 minutes. 12 assists, 11 points, a rare more points than assists night for LeBron. But he really did start as the game went on, I should say, to look more comfortable, particularly finding his teammates.
12 assists against just one turnover, and six of those assists came in about 5.5 minutes of the fourth quarter, the only part of the fourth quarter that LeBron played. He took his rest at the 6:39 mark and then never needed to come back into the game. But that point in particular, dude was just putting on a playmaking clinic. He had no looks going to DeAndre Ayton, great passes to Jake LaRavia, like guys that to this point he has not actually played in a game with, and by definition has only had like one practice with them because he'd had more practice with whoever is on the G League these days than with Jake LaRavia or DeAndre Ayton. And you wouldn't have known it based on the way he found those guys in rhythm. It was interesting. I thought as the game went along, like it wasn't just LeBron that found more comfort. He said afterwards that, his wind and his conditioning took a while for him to really start feeling comfortable. It was what he expected. As he put it, found a second and then a third wind. He wasn't surprised that this was a game within the game process. And you could see, watching him, that he is not all the way back. But he looked more comfortable as the game went along. And along those lines, it took about 30-ish minutes, I think, for the team to, just start playing better defense. Their defense in the first half was atrocious. But also, it felt like offensively, there was a lot of, and this is not unusual when stars return, particularly to play with other stars, but there's a lot of not wanting to step on each other's toes, not looking like you're trying to do, no, you can do this. No, you can do this. No. After you, sir. And for about 30-ish minutes, it almost felt like tentative offense. And then in this moment, as LeBron, I believe, was sitting at this point, it was really Luka's show. Luka just started letting it rip. And then from there, it felt like everyone began letting it rip, including LeBron and everyone around LeBron. And for the last, 10 or so minutes of this game where the guys who are in the rotation played, they looked really good.
Yeah, I think it's not surprising to me, and I should let people know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. I don't think it's surprising to me that the flow of things, particularly offensively, looked better when two of the three of the Lakers' big three were on the floor. Yeah, LeBron's assist binge came while Luka was resting. And that gets, if you're looking for one place where you can say, okay, LeBron James is going to have a significant impact. And by the way, there's more than one. But if you are focused on one, the minutes that Luka isn't on the floor are going to get significantly easier for the Lakers. It's going to become significantly easier for Reaves, who finished this game with 1 assist, I believe, not because he was being super selfish, but just, the demands on him to distribute in the same way are going to go down. But he was 11 of 12 from the line. He was 7 of 11 from the floor. His overall offensive, 26 points. His overall offensive game is going to be, from a scoring standpoint, it's going to get a lot easier. Would not surprise me in the slightest if Reaves from this game through to the end of the season averaged more points per game than LeBron. Something we can talk about over the course of the week. But it's one of these things where, like, we'll start to see the impact of it. LeBron said a lot of interesting stuff about, what he can do and how things can fit and all that kind of stuff, which we can get into over the course of the show. But it just, the amount of ball movement, the amount of ball distribution that they have now available to them once everybody gets comfortable. And, Luka is not going to have to do quite as much. LeBron certainly is not going to have to score in the same way that he has been accustomed to over the course of his career. He will on some nights, but he won't have to. Austin, I think,
he's going to keep that double-digit streak going.
Oh, yeah, no, he's never going to have less than 10.
He got to 11 tonight, and needed one additional basket to get there. He's going to stay in double digits.
Oh, yeah,
that much I can promise.
Well, in fairness, that streak is insane, and
bonkers. It is bonkers.
He should try to keep it up.
I say that with no criticism or shade whatsoever. Get after it, dude.
The one thing, DeAndre Ayton had 13 shots, finished with 20 points. Like, I really do think that, he's not going to average 11 points a game, but I don't think he's going to average 28 or 29. I think he's going to be in the low 20s when it's all said and done. From a scoring standpoint this season, LeBron, because there is just so much other stuff that the Lakers can lean on to get buckets, and bucket getting when it's not in transition, when it's, not catch and shoot threes, which LeBron had a couple of, which were really handy. That's the hardest part. The other stuff's easy for him.
Tonight was a reminder with those catch and shoot threes. We talked about this, I believe, either Monday's or Tuesday's show. Kind of a forgotten part of LeBron's game that I think they've been missing. They need his three-point shooting. Like, as much as you don't want, for much of LeBron's time with the Lakers, I've always said you don't want LeBron spacing the floor for everyone else. You want the floor spaced for LeBron, because LeBron was the primary and by far best playmaker on the team, when the rough patches were happening between him and Russ, or Austin was still coming into his own as a playmaker, or, D'Angelo Russell is a good playmaker, but he's never going to be the guy who has the highest usage. And also, D'Lo was often needed to spread the floor for LeBron. On this particular team, where you've got Luka Doncic as your best player and an all-world playmaker. There was a baseball pass that LeBron made cross court to Gabe Vincent for a buzzer-beating three. And I tweeted out the video of it. You can find it at Cam Brothers. And I noted there are only like a handful of players in the league who can make that pass with regularity. And the Lakers have two of them. Two of them, which is crazy. But on this team, with Luka being who he is and Austin continuing to improve as a playmaker, I'm not saying that LeBron's going to be a stand in the corner guy, but I'm saying now his floor spacing becomes more of an appropriate role, at least at times for him, especially when, again, you need it.
And the gravity issue with LeBron, you could see he still moves people around. people can say, oh, he's older, he's this, he's that, whatever. LeBron is going to move people around on the floor because he is LeBron James, and he's going to garner attention defensively, particularly inside the 3-point line. Once he, if he's got his back to the basket, if he's moving towards, like, all of those things are still a massive threat to a defense. And you can see how that's going to open up a lot of easy baskets because Luka has the same gravity. Luka, by the way, was great. We don't want to, on a normal night, we would talk about 37 points on 22 field goals, 13 of 16 from the free throw line, with 10 assists and 5 rebounds and 4 steals, by the way. We would talk about those things a little bit more than we will in this episode, because obviously the big news is LeBron returning. But there are a couple other things that I think pop up that we saw with LeBron coming back. We also saw the starting lineup. That was a question of coming into the game. A bunch of other things to cover. We'll get to it all next.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by Skims. And when I heard that we at Locked On could try Skims, I was confused, because I was like, I didn't even realize that Skims made men's underwear. And I happen to be somebody that's really picky about underwear. I only wear boxer briefs. They have to have a certain feel, like a certain tightness, but not too loose. It's got to be like Goldilocks. I want them to be just right. So I'm like, all right, I want to try these out, but am I going to like them? And the answer is, hell yeah, I'm going to like them. I tried both the 3-inch and the 5-inch boxer briefs just to see what the difference is. And the difference is one is 3 inches, the other one's 5 inches in the length. Otherwise, they're the same, which is awesome. They're comfortable. They don't bunch up. They look great. Your partner's going to love them. It's highly, highly recommended. And whether I'm working out or running errands or just laying around in the house in my underwear, which I'm allowed to do, it's my house, these are the most comfortable, reliable underwear you're ever going to own. And you want to shop.
Nice, they'll come over to your house and lay around.
Well, if the price is right, my schedule allows, why not?
And they will be Skims. Make no mistake.
They'll absolutely be Skims. That much we know. Shop Skims Men's at skims.com/LockedOnNBA and Skims stores, and let them know we sent you. And you can do this while I'm at your house in my underwear. You can place your order and select podcasts in the survey. I'll help you if needed. So you can select our show in the drop-down menu that follows.
Locked on Lakers is also brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back. There's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And even if you miss out on the start of a game or you want to ride that hot hand, FanDuel has live bets for everything from who will score next, fourth quarter comebacks, something the Lakers didn't need on Tuesday. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a single game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is making that late push, which, again, the Lakers didn't have to do on Tuesday. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. So, look, I think of all the things that were clunky at the beginning, the offense was tentative, which does lead to bad defense, but the defense was, I think, very tentative. They were switchier with Rui Hachimura in the lineup and all these other things. They look. It was sort of a defensive system that reminded me of last year. They were very, very switchy in that first half. I think even more than they had been over the course of the year. And they were not crisp with those switches. They were leaving too many shooters open. Now, some of it I think was a little bit by design. Some of it was, Keontae George was insanely hot early in the game.
Well, it helped that he was being left wide open.
As George tends to do, he shot his way out of that hot streak eventually. But, he had a good night, but he was red hot, could not miss a shot at the beginning. Svi Mikhailiuk, former Laker, revenge game. He, by the way, still starting in the NBA. Kind of good for him. But those kinds of things, they are going to have to fix. If that's the starting lineup they want to run with, they're gonna have to fix it. But they do have, Andy, 4 days between games to practice, work on those rotations, check on some, really make sure the principles are driven home. It's a really good time for them to have days off between games.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, Utah, to give them credit, they're not a great team, but they run a very unusual style. It's a lot of movement. It's a lot to keep track of. And if it's your first time, playing a defensive scheme with LeBron this season, first time in a while with Gabe Vincent, the first time you've had your full choice of players to put in the rotation. As Brian and I believe said heading into this game, we certainly suspected the odd men out for the rotation were going to be Dalton Knecht and Jared Vanderbilt. It seemed like the way, Vando's minutes have been trending downward, and Dalton's had a nice couple games leading up to this one, but
he wasn't in the rotation to begin with.
I was going to say he's never. Yeah. That's what I was just about to say. He's never been firmly there to begin with. So it went in the direction that we expected. Utah does some quirky things that can make it, I guess, in some ways more difficult. They do score a lot. Some ways more difficult to cover, particularly if you're just getting used to playing with each other. That said, the struggles that they had were very predictable, and we talked about what we thought they would look like, and they often did, heading into this game when we were both saying we would prefer Marcus Smart start in Rui's place. Again, not a demotion of Rui, just about floor combinations, skill sets. For what it is worth, though, and I thought this was interesting, Marcus Smart was the first sub off the bench in the first half for LeBron. LeBron sat when he typically does between like the 6 and 7 mark, pretty normal for LeBron. In the third quarter, Marcus Smart was also the first sub off the bench, but it was for Rui. And I have no idea what, if anything, that means, but it wasn't like Rui was in foul trouble or something like that. So this was a decision that JJ made for whatever reason. So it'll be interesting to keep an eye on it. And Rui played fine in this game. Nothing he did bad or anything like that. But it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
I was correct in the sense that they were going to start with Rui and see if they can make this work. I think that's the goal here from a politics standpoint, from a team chemistry standpoint, I think to some degree keep Marcus Smart healthy standpoint, all of these other things. I think there is the inclination is let's see if we can make it work with Rui. And Smart only played 17 minutes in this game. Some of it is because the Lakers pulled away in the second half.
Right.
But, I really do think they'd love to keep him, between 20 and 25 on a night so that later in the season, especially, they can have him healthy and, use him more, all that kind of stuff. But it creates problems and we've outlined, we don't need to go through all of them, 100 times. Like, everybody knows what the sort of defensive balance issues are going to be with Rui next to LeBron, next to Ayton, next to Luka, next to, and Reaves. And Luka's playing defense. Like he's doing his best. He's jumping passing lanes. He's very aggressively getting, again, 4 steals in this game. Really, the only thing you could criticize from Luka in this one was 3-point shooting wasn't great, and he turned the ball over too much. But
a couple of those were offensive fouls, like turnovers, or he at least 2 of them. It might have even been 3.
And the Lakers got a little saucy periodically with their passing. I think LeBron coming back got everybody a little bouncy, a little excited. Austin Reaves throwing lobs to Luka, which is a horrendous idea that it should never happen again.
Like, Austin should volunteer to give up at least $10 million on the contract that everyone expects him to sign with the Lakers just for thinking about doing that, much less actually doing it. Like that is I'm not going to say a fireable offense because that's not the way NBA contracts work, but it's kind of a fireable offense.
It was one of these things. And I was like, look, had Luka gone up and flushed it down, it would have brought the house down for sure.
Yeah, but instead he ended up colliding with someone on the Jazz and blew out his knee. No.
Dial it back there, Austin. And so the Lakers
not
got a little careless.
It's not a great lob team, but even that being said, there are so many other options. I'd rather him throw a lob to Gabe than with Luka. I mean, that's just
it's really not. Luka has one dunk as a Laker. I think it's
he has technically two. One of them was really more of a lay-in than a dunk. It was not a real dunk.
So it's it's not much different than throwing a lob to us. It's substantive.
No, it's actually much different. Nobody cares if we get hurt.
That's true.
It's actually far different.
Well, that's not. I care, but nobody else does. It's just the Lakers. I was joking about this. For a relatively unathletic team, the Lakers love throwing lobs that are at any time, ridiculous lob opportunities. But anyway, I think they can figure out a way to make this work. And they found times last year where the defense was certainly good enough. I don't know if they're going to have to modify the super switchy thing. They're either going to have to get much better at it or modify it. But we'll see. They've got time to figure this stuff out. 11-4 gives them some runway here to do it, and especially given a relatively winnable schedule upcoming. We'll break some of those things down next.
Locked on Lakers is brought to you by Rippling, and if you're a business owner, here's the truth. SaaS promised to make work easier, but now the average company is buried by hundreds of apps that slow down your teams and simply don't work together. That's not SaaS, that's SAD, software as a disservice, not software as a service. That's why you need Rippling. Rippling is the unified platform for global HR, payroll, IT, and finance all in one place. They helped millions of businesses replace a mess of disconnected tools with one system designed to give leaders clarity, speed, and control. Rippling removes the bottlenecks and busy work that slow teams down. Everything from onboarding to payroll to IT access, it runs automatically and perfectly in sync. And right now you can get 6 months free when you go to rippling.com/lockedonnba. Learn more at rippling.com/lockedonnba. That's rippling.com/lockedonnba for 6 months free.
I am excited about the potential of LeBron. Again, not averaging 11 points a game. They're going to need more than that. But of what it looks like on a team where LeBron genuinely does not need to average 25 points a game, 28 points a game, 30 points a game, particularly at this point in his career. I think that is, if you're looking for something that can really genuinely extend his career, or at the very least, make him a guy who can be fresh in the postseason, which is something the Lakers are going to need. Let's set next year aside and just think about getting through this year, not having to grind your way through to 20, 26, 27, 30 a night so your team can win. Is going to be a big thing. And Reaves is going to be able to keep putting up 25 a night, certainly is capable of that. Luka's a 30 a night guy. Ayton, if he gets 10 shots, is going to have 16 points. That's just what he's doing right now. And all of those things put together really, truly, legitimately means that LeBron does not need to score in the way that he has over the course of his career. Opens up 1,000 other things he can do.
Yeah, as LeBron has said, he talked about this during Monday's practice. He is somebody that prides himself on the ability, and it really is true, to do anything on the court. Like, there's really nothing that LeBron is incapable of doing as far as skill sets with basketball. I mean, he has some things that are greater strengths than others, but he's reached a place where, other than attrition from age, and how it may affect certain things, there's really no weakness to LeBron's game. It used to be you didn't want him taking threes. Now LeBron is a legitimate three-point shooter. He's always been a great scorer, great passer, great rebounder. When he needs to, he can still find ways to be effective defensively. If nothing else, as we've talked about, his IQ makes him a hell of a defensive quarterback, and that's really valuable. He also got his chest out a little bit when asked about some of the instant chemistry with LaRavia and DeAndre Ayton. He said, quote, "Said it yesterday's post-practice. I can fit in with anybody. I don't even understand why that was a question. What's wrong with these people out here? I can fit in right away with anybody."
But this is that quote, that kind of quote, which is a variation of different things that he's said really since the arrival of Luka, is kind of what I was getting at when we were talking on Tuesday's show about, my impression of how LeBron kind of looks at the process and looks at the challenge and things like that. And enjoying the idea of having to do things a little bit differently, do things that might be unexpected to people, help carry a team in ways that are different than he has over the course of his career, in part because by the time you get to season 23, setting aside the practical stuff of, he understands the less he has to do during the regular season, the more likely he is to go far in the playoffs. He recognizes, I think, that this team has as good of a chance of any team he can play for right now of getting him far in the playoffs. Yeah. And so set that aside, though. I think by the time you get to season 23, it's fun to do new things.
Well, it's fun to do new things. I would caution into reading too much into tonight or that narrative into thinking that LeBron could, and I know this isn't necessarily how you meant it, but I've heard other people talk about it, where LeBron kind of becomes a passenger, where his reduced role, where he starts looking more like a role player. And that's not going to happen, in part because it's a waste of that much skill. It's also, too, a waste of, I think, in LeBron's mind, LeBron's time. LeBron is not in the league to just hang around, or just because he loves the lifestyle, or he can't let go of being in the NBA. As he said during Monday's practice, he's missed being around the guys. He's missed being on the court. He has not missed the travel at all. He just flat out said, "I have not missed that one bit. I'm just going to be honest. At this stage of my career, I don't need to keep doing it." Not like LeBron isn't going to do it now that he's back, but he wasn't getting the itch. But also, too, I used to talk about this with Kobe all the time. Kobe played basketball in a very specific way for very specific reasons. And if he was not going to be the focal point of if not championship level team, certainly one pretty close, he wasn't interested in doing it. He was not interested in being the second option on a team,
or the third or the fourth,
or the third, or whatever, and
harder or whatever. Yeah.
And LeBron and Kobe view certain things differently, particularly scoring. I know LeBron is the all-time leading scorer, but LeBron is not wired to score and to look to score in the same way Kobe was. LeBron just happens to be incredible, but he happens to be an incredible scorer and played for so long. So I don't think LeBron cares about leading the team in scoring, but there is a requisite amount that LeBron wants to be doing at a pretty high level. Otherwise, he's not going to be interested. Like, he just isn't going to be interested in doing this because dude's got 10 million other things he can do. He has been doing his post basketball career in real time for like the last 7 years. He's got plenty of other things he can do.
There's one thing that I think he takes a reduced role in, not a non-role, a reduced role, and that's scoring. That's it. And everything else, I agree. He is a frontline player on this team. He is only because Luka is, has, if you think he ever left it after a rough last season, like he's clearly back in that ultra elite level in the NBA where I still think it's Jokic, who is like Oklahoma City, kind of floating in his own territory. And there with Giannis, Wemby, if you think he's, before the injury got that, but whatever it is.
Giannis before the injury. Giannis is hurt.
True. Giannis has got a groin issue. So like whatever that next group of 2 or 3 guys is, Luka's in it. And it's only because Luka's that good that you could look at LeBron and say he's the second best, very clearly the second best player, the third best player. I think second, but if you really love AR, and say that. So, he's not going to take a step back in terms of his impact. He is not a passenger. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I just think he doesn't have to score as much, which allows him to be, I think, more of a playmaker. I think he can put out more energy defensively on a more consistent basis on this team than he could have last year pre-trade. And certainly and all that stuff. That's all that I mean. The only thing he needs to do that I think he could step back a little bit. I'm talking going from 25, 26, 27, 28 a game to 20, 22, 23, 24. Not 15.
I've described before on 710 ESPN, my weekly show, Lakers Talk. I picture him in kind of a role where, and it's not an apples to apples comp, but just in thinking about the different things that he can do that don't necessarily revolve fully around scoring, kind of like a souped down version of Draymond Green defensively. Like in the sense of you would emphasize the defense, but not at the level of what is expected of Draymond, but like a souped up offensive version of Draymond. So he's like the Lakers' Draymond Green in the sense that he's a more souped up offensive version, a little bit more of a souped down defensive version, but you see the importance of him on both sides of the ball, and he still remains a huge part of how the offense works. Like as much as Steph is what makes that offense scary and bend everything and like nothing we've ever seen before, Draymond is just as important in making the thing work. Like as far as making the offense actually work, Draymond's huge. LeBron can be in a lot of ways that version of Draymond, but again, souped up and having some of the same defensive responsibilities and that intelligence and all that, but souped down to some degree. Radio Starkila, I think, sums it up well in the chat. Rich man's Draymond. I'm sort of thinking about him that way, like a rich man's Draymond.
Very rich.
And very rich, and Draymond is very much going to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and just it's we'll see. Like it's we have obviously they have a lot of time between now and Sunday. It's another game against Utah that you hope you end up with a similar result, and then next week they get back to a little bit more of a regular schedule and then next month it's 3 weeks on the road. And what's shaping up to be a kind of an interesting road trip. We'll see what it looks like. And again, I don't expect LeBron to be down at the 15 points a game. They're going to have to figure some stuff out defensively. It's not going to be smooth. The offense hasn't been super smooth to this point this season. Don't expect it to instantly become that way. But you saw on Tuesday the potential of what this can look like. Again, with the addition, not just of Reaves kind of ascending as an offensive player, but a really viable scorer in the middle. The Ayton factor here with LeBron and Luka together is going to be really important for the Lakers.
The Lakers entered this game, final thing to think about, 27th in fast break points. I think that alone is a difference you're going to see with LeBron out there. Not necessarily because they're going to be running up and down every possession, but just more guys who can push the ball ahead, more guys who can grab and go. I think that's going to make a big difference.
Even in year 23, nobody gets in the way of LeBron on a break when that is a business decision that nobody makes, or that everybody makes, I should say. All right, so we'll break more of this down through the rest of the week. More stuff coming out of practice for the Lakers as they continue to shore things up. 11-4, looking good. Nice stretch of practice coming up. Things are looking pretty for the Lakers. Locked On Lakers on YouTube. So we're going to hang out with over 37,000 subscribers to the channel. Thanks again for making us the #1 podcast network in the known universe. And we'll see everyone tomorrow.